have a lot of people who feel a certain type of way, but you must give them an expectation first and foremost, hold people accountable secondarily, and then act prudently based on what the outcome should actually be. Additionally, your workers and the people who work for you will start to mimic your leadership style. So if you allow this level of engagement and communication, it is because it is that free-flowing situation. Remember that, right? So if you don't have consistency and process and expectation, you can put yourself in a situation where what we used to call the inmates will run the barn.
And I'm not saying that I feel like, the reason I'm saying not fire her at this point, and this is my managerial skill over 30 plus years, I wouldn't fire her because sometimes people can't do better till they know better. Now, once she
told you why she didn't do better.
No, but let me explain to you. She might think this is totally okay. So for me, in the way I lead, I want to show her, no, this is not okay.
Right.
This is the first and only chance you get to do this. If you proceed in this way, you will be let go. But I feel
Yolanda is very clear about what she wants the outcome to be, and she wants to try to buy favor and bring the person into her confidence, where it really has a lot to do with your leadership style and what your comfort level is with how you manage conflict resolution in your own business. So I want you to think through that as a process. Go ahead, Andrew.
Yeah, it's actually kind of funny because I was in this situation from the employee perspective, something I'm not proud of. But actually, when I started at ProsperUS, you know, my manager left.
Hey, hold on, Andrew. Guys, if you could mute your lines because I'm getting reverb again. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so about 3 months after, well, I started ProsperUS, my manager left, so the role above me has been vacant for the entire year I've been here, basically. I picked up a number of those responsibilities because, you know, I wanted to prove myself. I wanted a promotion. I'm still working towards all these things. And after about 3 months of, you know, going above and beyond with my responsibilities, it's not quite the same situation. I approached Chanel, our director, and I said, and this was based on someone's advice that they gave me. They said, oh, you should just ask for a raise. You know, maybe there's not a promotion yet, but since you're doing extra work. So I brought it up. And Chanel, you know, she sort of seemed surprised by it because we have very open communication in ProsperUS, which I think is healthy. And she said, you know, like, let me think about it. And then she came up to me a couple days later and was like, look, I just really am kind of taken aback by this because I don't know where this came from. Just because I was acting on someone else's advice, that I even, you know, thought it was appropriate to do it. And what Chanel explained to me is that you're going to have to go above and beyond, basically, before you can be considered for advancement. You need to prove that you're capable of the work before you can ask for compensation for that work. Because even though I think of myself as a very competent employee and I think that I'm doing a good job, that doesn't mean that my employer has that trust in me. And that's something that you need to prove over time. So you got to put in the long hours ahead of time in order to get to a place where it's obvious that, you know, as soon as there's extra room in the budget, you know, you're going to be up for promotion or you're going to be up for that reward. So that's just my
in Andrew's situation, he could have very well felt like, well, you know, she's taking advantage of me and I'm going to do less, or I'm going to back off because I'm doing more than what was in my job description. And she would have definitely known that there were some gaps and things were missing in the program, right? And then ultimately, you're looking at whether or not you can rely on that individual. See, when you allow an employee to take control and demonstrate their dissatisfaction, you've given them the control of your environment. And see, for me, the type of leader that I am, that would never flow. I expect that you would come and have a conversation with me and then we have an action plan because you gave me a chance to remedy the problem. You did not take it upon yourself to slow down, which could have caused me a contract. It could have caused other ripples in the workplace. It could have caused other people to feel a little disenfranchised with the fact that she got away with it and she still has a job. You have to think about it from a leadership business owner standpoint. And remember that that is your only viewpoint that you can ever have. That is your only focal point. How people feel, hopefully you can get them to understand and comply, but you should not play social worker, in my opinion. Be mightily careful about how you set process, because once it started, it will constantly be the norm. You set the standard, or you let the staff set the standard. You need to figure that out. All right, let's go to the other case study, which I thought was extremely interesting as well. So, Kanika, how about it? What was the outcome?
All right. Ours was compromising on our mission. So we have it was Michael, Kieran, and myself. And so we have a small printing company. We are booked to capacity with.
Hold on one second. Everybody other than Kanika, please mute your lines. We're getting a lot of reverb. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so we're booked to capacity with job requests, but our mission is on time, every time, and delivered with perfection. But we have a long-term client who has been with us for several years, and he's our biggest client. He calls at the last minute and he says, hey, I need this like yesterday. But we also have smaller clients as well that are waiting on their print. So the question is, what do you do? So we went back and forth with this because in my mind, and we all kind of agree with the same things. First off, we didn't want to compromise on our mission because our mission is on time, every time. So to let the smaller companies know that we can't deliver and really stick to our mission was kind of hard. But we also looked at the fact that we have a long-term client who's been with us, who is loyal to us. So we want to service this person, but we also are looking at the fact that we have potential long-term clients that we could possibly be losing out on because we're not delivering on our promise, our mission. So we thought maybe we would go ahead, service our loyal client, give him what he needs, call the smaller companies and say, hey, look, we're going back on our mission. We can't deliver on time every time.
You did what to the mission? What? You willingly compromised.
And so that's what we had the dilemma at, because we didn't want to do that, but it was hard. And I said, I really wanted to see what you would say about this.
I'm glad you gave me, because now you guys are on my last nerve. I can't believe you compromised on your mission. What? So let us try to triage this situation together. Let's think through this operationally. We're a printing company. Person comes in or they go online and they place an order. Do you automatically tell your customers first in, first out? Do you automatically tell your customers it'll be ready at 5 o'clock on this day? I mean, or do you give them a window of opportunity? Think through that. See, it was a trick situation. Like Michael actually said it. Michael actually, when I stepped into your breakout room, I heard her comment. Here's the situation. There are 24 hours in a day, and none of you will put yourself in a situation to operate at the break of brink. You never do that. You never operate at full throttle. That's not even a reality. What happened if a machine broke down or an employee called off? That means your entire operation would explode. If you would lose total control, right? Because all of a sudden you couldn't perform. You can't put yourself in that situation. Every business on God's green earth has what they call capacity building or wiggle room. Even if it's by 5 o'clock, it was already ready at 3 o'clock.
Got it.
Because it's process management, right? And though it's a larger customer, you would never allow them to or make them feel like they had the capacity to joggle you or tussle you around with a last minute offer. It's about your approach. But even beyond that, you have the opportunity to exercise overtime or to expand your network through strategic alliances. No business, I don't even operate as a small practice. I don't operate without understanding that I have other people that I can tap in the event I need to pass work over to them so that I can support what I'm currently doing. Do you understand what I'm saying, guys? UPS contracts with other contractors. FedEx contracts with other contractors. The post office contracts with other independent agents and contractors. Speedy, Office Depot, everybody understand the small business world. You cannot operate to the total capacity because you need to leave room for moments, or a machine breaking down, or the paper didn't get there on time. You need proactive planning. It is an entire planning process. And even though they may have taxed you in this one day or situation, what you do is step back and look at the broader picture and align whether or not this can be moved here, we can do that, or we can do this. Because never should you offer a blatant guarantee of this in this time and that time. I like to think when I sit in my hairdresser's chair, if I ever make it to her chair again, my 6:30 appointment is going to be honored as a 6:30 appointment. And even the person who's coming in at 7:30 behind me has the intent to sit in that chair at 7:30. But if my KO is not process driven, 7:30 may not get serviced until 8:15, and then the 8:30 client doesn't get serviced until 10 o'clock. And that's when you start to see poor business management. And show of hands, how many of you have left hair salons because they don't honor appointments? Yeah, right. We get to the process. You need to get to the place where you don't operate at break. You don't ever operate at total capacity, at full throttle, because you never make room for a contingency. You must always operate, small business owners, with a backup plan, right? If Yolanda is catering a wedding and it's 100 people and she needs to get access to a commercial kitchen, she better have multiple spaces set up in the event something goes wrong. This is management and operations. You need to operate with the understanding that you may have moments. You need to build them into your infrastructure. You need to plan on that, because see, compromising on your mission is a lack of planning. That's what that refers to. The only time you can compromise on your mission is if you didn't plan correctly. You can hire up, you can hire out, right? You can work longer hours. You can rent another machine. Too many options. See, compromising on your mission should not ever be your solution, because it is your fail-safe. You will do it all the time. It becomes the standard and not the exception. Right. You never want the exception to become standard. You guys understand what I mean by that? No compromising on mission. No, ma'am.
Got it.
Not ever. And you should always have a little wiggle room, or a backup plan. Another backup plan. All right, great job, guys, on the breakout session, on the case studies. What you'll learn, if nothing else, is more about yourself. You will learn whether or not your management and leadership style is something that you thought through when you want to work with other people. Most of you as solo entrepreneurs think about quality and customer service as you produce it. You must also think through that process with other people who are also in your confidence and definitely on your payroll. Never should you allow your systems to be compromised because somebody else feels some kind of way about something. I couldn't imagine a day at UPS or even at FedEx where a driver could tell me, well, you gave me a crappy load yesterday, and so today I'm taking it easy. I don't think so. I actually couldn't imagine that ever happening as a real conversation. So in your books, and I happen to love session 6, guys. I love session 6 because it goes to the heart of what I understand in business. I think it has a lot to do with more of my corporate training. But for all of us, all right, hold on one second. Looked like Annette got bumped out. Let me get her back in. All right. So for all of us, we need to come up with a firm understanding of our process. When we think through management and operations, it is really rooted in process. Process means everything. It is an execution strategy. When we think through our session objectives, we need to figure out What do we need to make sure that we can run a business effectively and efficiently, much like those case studies that we just completed? We need to be able to write through our management sections from all of the skills that are necessary to the inventory controls, to the financing, to customer engagement, to quality controls, to money back guarantee situations. We go through all of that. And then I'll ask you to sort of figure out what is legally binding and what you need to understand as you go through a few things. At the end of our session tonight, I've got a few mock sessions that I want to work through, and we can talk a little bit about that. We're going to look at the different forms of business organization and both their advantages and disadvantages. We're going to look to some of the worksheets that ProsperUS has provided around regulatory compliance. We're going to take a little gander really quickly. Wait, let me see something. I want to see from show of hands, how many of you are legally registered? How many of you have your businesses legally registered already? Annette, is your business legally registered? Kanika, are you legally registered already? I see Karen is. Mike Hill, are you legally registered?
Yes, I am.
Yes, we're registered.
So apparently everybody on the call is legally registered with the exception of Kanika. Kanika, are you familiar with how to do a business entity search and how to have your business legally registered? Unmute your line.
I've actually done it. I've sent in my application and I paid, but I haven't received the document.
Okay,
So,
we can check and see if it's in pending
Right.
status. We'll check and see if it's in pending status. Okay. So show me again if someone on the call is not registered. How about if you're not registered? All right, so each of you know how to go through the business registration. Perfect. We'll take a real quick gander at whether, tell me the name of your business, Kanika.
It's Mason, M-A-Y-E-S-I-E-N-S.
So each of you already, if you're already registered, I'm making the assumption that you have at least a corporation, M-A, what is it?
E-S-I-N-S.
I-N what?
Yes.
Is that it?
Oh, that's it.
All right, so you're legally registered. Boom, bam. So technically, if you file with the state of Michigan on the limited liability side, there is no paperwork that is mailed to you. You get an electronic email advising you of the that the LLC is actually in place. How many of you know how to check your standing? Do you know how to check whether or not you're in good standing? So maybe we'll spend a little bit of time of showing you how to actually check to see if you're in good standing. How many of you are operating only, I'm sorry?
We check on the government website, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, we're gonna do it right now. How many of you have registered as a DBA at the county or city level?
That's what I have questions about, and when there's time, I would like to ask about that.
So let me tell everybody what I tell. I mean, I'm a Detroit-based business. I love the fact that we can roll a couple dollars through Detroit. The best thing you can do is go to the highest level of execution, which is the state. You want to go to the state of Michigan and register your business because it supersedes city and county registrations. Those are DBAs when they're smaller. It says that you're operating in this county. You want to operate at a state level.
I have a question about that. So what I've run into is that I bank with Bank of America, and I didn't know any better. I just went with them. But they sometimes be tripping. And one of the ways that they trip on is if somebody, they need to write checks out to my business, but sometimes they don't. Sometimes they write them to myself. And Bank of America actually had the nerve to tell me that I had to register my name as a DBA. And I know that's kind of technically the way it should be done, but most banks don't make you do that.
So the reason they do that is
I don't know if the DBA is what I need to do or Bank of America.
No. So you're registered on a city or county level? as a
I'm
DBA?
registered as an LLC with the state of Michigan, but when I get checks sometimes, instead of them writing out to Carolyn's Kitchen, before I can even recognize they've done it, they'll send it to me and it's sent out to me.
So do an assumed name, Yolanda.
Okay, how do you do that?
It costs $10. You can do an assumed name, and
Okay.
you'll tag it, and I'll show you right now.
Thank you.
So who wanted me to check to see about their business and if it's in good standing? Who has a business name I can check? Kira, tell me the name of the business.
Pure Talent CO.
So you use the registered agent versus registering for yourself.
Yes.
I don't know why you did that, but somebody talked you into it. How much did they charge you for that?
100.
Yeah, right.
100.
So you are currently not in bad standing, but your annual registration is a year behind. So you want to catch that, because next year they will put you in bad standing. You're currently in good standing because they're behind. You see your registrations? Here's when they registered you in 2018 and then 2019, your annual statement. Your registered agent, since you paid somebody, said that they would manage those affairs, and they have not. So they're either saying that you didn't pay them the contractual fee that they want from you for follow-up, but you can actually do it yourself. You own the business, and you should never, ever lend your legal binding credits to somebody else to actually manage your affairs. Wait, can you guys see the screen?
No.
I'm so sorry. I'm doing all this talking and you can't see nothing.
I'm gonna have to check mine now, Michael, because I did the same thing.
So this is the registration for Pure Talent.
It went away.
It's loading.
Oh, okay.
Come on, come on, come on, machine. Can you see it?
Yes.
So this is your legal registration, how they register. You use the register agent in Okemos, because that's the register agent office. They get all the register agent. So you are effective April 5th of 2018. There was one other annual registration. That registration was in May of 2019. You see it here?
Yes.
They filed your next year, but you are behind. Your next registration was due on February 15th of this year. So you are behind 1 year.
Okay.
And not until you get past 2 years does the actual state have a problem with what you're doing. Or I should just say they haven't caught up. Let's just put it that way. Oh, wait, I was supposed to show you how to do an assumed name.
Can you send us the website as well? I always have trouble getting to it.
Yep, it's in our PowerPoint. I can pass that on to you tonight. Oh, wait, I don't need you to, I need to show you how to do. You guys see this form? Can you see the screen? What do you see?
Department of Licensing and Regulatory Affairs.
Perfect. So here, in this area here, you can come in here and go to Corporations Online Filing. This click this here. They want you to set up a SID and PIN number. Mine is already by default set up. So I'm going to come in here, sign in. And I can say to them that I want to do a certificate of assumed name. Did you see that? Yolanda? Can you guys see that?
Yes, ma'am.
How did you get there again? I missed the step.
I went into online services.
Okay.
Once I got to online services, I had to set up a PIN number, and I think by default, mine is already set up, so I'll do it again. I'm in here a lot setting up LLC, so yeah, for some reason it's not gonna let me go back. I have to come all the way out. Either way, you come in, you click the corporation's online filing system, this right here. When you click it, it'll tell you to register for a SID or PIN number if you don't already have one. and then you can go through the list of documents. You select the document you want, and then you simply register. The certificate of assumed name is form number 541 on the state's website, form 541. It's only got 3 lines that you fill out. Once you've completed those 3 lines, it's $10 to register assumed name, and you just have to tag it to an existing entity. So I'll show you mine. I've got a couple of them. So and you'll know whether or not a business has more than one.
So what is the difference between this and the DBA?
Really nothing.
Okay, this is cheaper for sure.
Well, it depends, I guess.
No, but DBA is $50, right? And this is only $10.
And that's the same as a legal registration. So you've actually paid the same price to do a state level registration. Right.
And I did the same thing as Michael, and I did the I paid someone else to do mine. And what do you pay? Like the 50, it was $100 for a fee that only costs 50. And I'm not sure what that $50 goes towards.
It's their fee for registering the paperwork for you. They just charge you $50 to do a 3-minute piece of paperwork.
So that means they didn't do what she asked them to do?
Well, it depends on how the contract works. So I don't know what you paid the registered agent, if you paid them for ongoing annual registrations or just to do the one-off. It really does depend on how much you paid them and what the relationship is.
Okay, I'm gonna have to go check me now.
All right, so I want to show you guys something really quickly. I'm having some trouble getting this to expand because it's in some software that I'm not familiar with. Anyway, this photo view shows you that the certificate of assumed name is owned by Best Practices Consulting Services. So that was really all that I wanted to show you on that. All right, so what else? I want to move on to the rest of the actual class. We've got about an hour, and I've got about an hour and 10 minutes worth of stuff to do. So let's get it all in. Michael, I heard what you said in your group, and I was so digging all that. She was like, yeah, I'll take one of my best clients because yeah, I got to take that best client and work it on out through the rest of the day. All right, so we just saw regulatory affairs and licensing. I want to talk about, if you go to your books, ladies, since we don't have DeJuan on, if you go to your book, page 211, really quickly, I want you to look at, this is a sole proprietorship, and then the next one, it tells you about a partnership, then it tells you next one about a corporation, both the C class and the subchapter S class, and then they show you a limited liability company on page 211. But if you go to page 212, they kind of give it to you side by side with the advantages and disadvantages. I'm not going to look at the book. I'm going to look at what I have on the screen, but feel free to look at this. And I'm going to tell you right now, most of you are registered, so you already know not to operate as a sole proprietor because of the many, 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 many legal loopholes that you have no protection from. So sole proprietors are typically single owners. They're the most common form of business organization, like a DBA. It is the oldest and simplest form of business. It has no distinction between the individual and the business owner, which is the greatest deficit. There's no distinction as a DBA between what you're doing as an individual and then the business, which means that you have total liability. It's also easily dissolvable. It has lots of management flexibilities, but funding can also create some deficiencies. When I heard Yolanda say she banks with Bank of America is a bank that works with large corporations. They don't have an infrastructure designed to work with smaller businesses. So their practices are more synonymous and contingent with who they feel their real customer is. And that's important for you to know. Partnerships. A very tricky alliance. We do have Evelyn and Annette who's in a partnership. They run the business in tandem. Partnerships refer to 2 or more members. It's somewhat easy to form if you don't use the legal differentiation of having a partnership agreement. But if you don't and if you do, it's still difficult to dissolve. Though it's easy to form, partnerships are difficult to dissolve. They're like divorces. You can benefit from complementary management skills, but you can also put yourself in deficits, because if you don't have something written out about who controls the purse, people can make purchases and do things that could afford cause some deficits in the business. Partnerships can be beneficial when you are leveraging someone else's financial capacity, but they can be a problem when you think about the lack of continuity. Think about it this way. So if some of us decided to get in business because today we felt one way about some kind of thing, and then 3 years from now, when I got a grandbaby, and now I'm older and I'm ready to retire, what I thought was important to me is no longer that, and we started a business together. So for lack of continuity, things can start to evolve or change. There are oftentimes conflicts on an interpersonal level, because we haven't figured out contractually or by way of a contract who should do what, when, and why, and how to dissolve this when we no longer feel that we are moving in the same direction. Personal assets and other operating partner business credits can be both risky and then the other. Corporations, there are a limited number of stakeholders if you are a C Corp, not an S Corp, but a C Corp. You have limited liabilities strictly to the entity itself and not to its owners. You have limited financial liability to the owners and not the actual individual. It can't offer specialized management skills. Typically, when people are opening up corporations, they are bringing a certain amount of skill sets to bear, because you're operating like a full-fledged Chrysler, GM, whatever. However, you could be a single member corporation, so you don't automatically have specialized management skills. It can sometimes be difficult and costly to form and to dissolve if you don't know how to get around it. There can be tax disadvantages, typically because of the double taxation, meaning the corporation is taxed, and then you also are taxed on your dividends or whatever the returns are to its owners. And there can be some legal restrictions, meaning certain corporations have to carry certain insurances or things like that. That says S Corp, which is a subchapter. Can you guys see the screen okay?
Yes, ma'am.
A S Corp is a subchapter. It can only be registered in a state. It cannot be registered in subsequent states. People get confused on that. A subchapter is limited to 100 members only. Now, if you go and open up another corporation in a different state, you have to open it up as a foreign entity, and you cannot tag it to this existing corporation. It'll have to be another standalone. One of the greater benefits is that it can be taxed as a pass-through like partnerships to avoid the double taxation clause. There are companies like the limited liability company, which is a corporation structure minus the double taxation, except you will pay self-employment taxes when you turn profits. So there is a second tax. You just don't pay the corporation tax as well as the self-employment tax or the profits. L3C, are you guys familiar with the L3C? Anybody on here not familiar with that? Anybody not familiar with the L3C?
I don't know what it is.
Yolanda, I really like that for the groups that you work with. Let me explain to you guys. Let me take a few minutes and talk you through a L3C. A L3C is actually a hybrid of a nonprofit and a limited liability company. It's a hybrid of a corporation like a nonprofit, but it operates like a limited liability company. The reason it does that is because you can ask for what are called PRI investments, private related investments, meaning you can go to Kellogg's, you could go to Ralph Wilson Foundation, you can go to the Community Foundation of Southeast Michigan and raise money like a nonprofit for program related expenses or investments. So Yolanda could say, I have a catering company, but I'm teaching children culinary skills. So that educational component can be funded in the L3C, even though you carry a for-profit arm.
So I could do that.
You, Karen, could do that. Here's the thing. L3C is more mission driven than it is profit driven. So everything you do is oriented. So you need to be in a position where you're looking at, we want to eradicate obesity. And we're doing that by offering these healthy cooking alternatives as an LLC. But then you can take yourself and contract yourself to the L3C.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Is this something fairly new?
2008.
Ah.
So we've had it for a few years, but since 2008. Delaware was the first state to bring it in, and everybody knows about Delaware. Delaware is the state that's known for tax evasion. I'm just going to say it. Everything they do to make it easy to do business in the United States so people don't have to pay exorbitant taxes. They do everything they can to be tax-free.
I need to be in Delaware.
Delaware.
So how do we look into it?
You fill out the same paperwork you would fill out for a limited liability company, but you must add the IRS language, the IRS 501c3 limited liability hybrid clause. If you send me an email, I'll send you several documents, and you just have to add them as attachments to your limited liability company when you file it. If you're already an existing LLC, you cannot modify it to an L3C. It's a totally different corporation, because remember, it's a version of a nonprofit with a for-profit arm. So you have to resurrect a whole new company.
Okay. That's fine. All right.
We can do a one-on-one and talk about
that. My brain is.
And yeah, so when you see nonprofits operating like this, you should do a Google search on your own. Just do a Google search and type in L3Cs in Michigan, and you'll start to see who's doing it, and you'll understand why they're doing it. They're going after nonprofit funding opportunities around their program-related stuff.
Man, that's awesome.
Yeah, it can be. It can be. So did we miss somebody? All right, everybody who's trying to get in is in? Perfect. Hold on 1 second. Somebody said they weren't able to get in.
Oh,
no.
Okay.
We're good. Okay. I want to get back to the PowerPoint real fast and finish up the last of it. So we looked at sole proprietorships. We looked at partnerships. We looked at the versions of corporations. What are the other versions of a corporation? Does anybody know offhand? We have a limited liability. We have an S Corp. We have a C Corp. What are the other forms of corporation? Nonprofits. There's one more.
Sole proprietorship.
Nope, that's not a corporation.
I'm sorry.
Yolanda, what's the other one? You have it. You have one.
You got, no, I don't know. I'm not sure.
Cooperative.
Oh, okay.
Cooperatives are corporations too.
I didn't know that.
So you have cooperatives, you have limited liability companies, you have C Corps, you have S Corps, you have L3Cs, you have nonprofits. A multitude of different forms of organization, and each one of them, believe it or not, has different binding agreements. And I'll spend a little bit of time as I get back to this PowerPoint talking about that. A limited liability company, of which most of you probably have because it's the easiest form to actually resurrect. How many of you recognize that if you go to court and all you have is that one document says that I'm a legally registered corporation under a LLC, do you know they can pierce the veil? Do you guys know what I mean when I say pierce the veil? Yes, Ms. Kanika. You gotta unmute your line. I saw you got your hand up.
Oh no, I had my hand up earlier about the L3C, but you answered the question already.
Oh, okay.
Put that down.
So let me explain something. If you are a legally operating entity, and this is the difference, this is where we get lost, especially our minority business owners. If you resurrect a limited liability company, you just registered as a limited liability, but you don't have a covenant document. The covenant document is called an operating agreement. What should be in your operating agreement? Your legal registered office, what assets you own, who the officers are, who can discharge payments, who's financially responsible. It has to be your covenant document. It pairs with your limited liability document, because if you go to court, they need to know that they're not fighting Yolanda, but Carolyn's Kitchen. If you don't have a covenant document, all you've done was created a name, and you've not done anything to protect the organization. In your operating agreement, you should disclose how much money your business has, how much money you brought to the table, because it should also work with your balance sheet to talk about what was brought to the table, what assets your company owns outright. If the car has been bequeathed to the corporation, it should be on the balance sheet, because it should say so in the operating agreement. Think about chain of custody. It's a chain of custody document that connects you, the business, with the legal documents that says that this is legal tender. Very important, very, very, very important. And most business owners don't participate or prescribe to doing the compliance part, which is the operating agreement. If you have decided to open up a corporation, you are then by law required to have what they call bylaws. You should have active bylaws with meetings and all the minutes and all the rest of it, just like every other nonprofit or every corporation with annual reports. Even if you are a privately held company, legally you are required to have those documents. But most people don't. Well, I'm not going to say most. I'm going to say most small minority business owners don't.
What if you don't have it? Like, what can happen?
Nothing until you go to court, or until somebody tries to sue you, or until somebody says that they own a share of the company and you don't have anything to prove that you issued shares or didn't issue shares. So Karen, was that you who asked that question?
Yes.
So imagine this. Imagine I was a ruthless, worthless person, and I know that you resurrected a corporation, and all of a sudden you got a whole bunch of play on TV. And I said, I helped her get her business set up. Think back to Dale from Sweet Pete's. He said, I helped them get this set up. I did this and I did that. You owe me. You can't just leave here. You owe me something. And without the legal document, you have the burden of proof. I don't have the burden of proof, because you would need to show that you have the rosters, or at least the books that shows what shares were issued or who owns or controls the shares. If you don't even have a corporate seal to show that you are the officer controlling this, I could say, I've done X number of hours of consultation. I helped her with this and this and that. And she told me I would have a portion of the business. I didn't get paid for anything else. Look, make her show me that she paid me for something. And if you can't prove that you paid me, and I know, I can sue you saying that I have some equity in your business. Be careful. Legal paperwork is very important. You want to be in a position where you can say and know those legal binding opportunities. And I can tell you some serious horror stories that would have your head spinning. As a matter of fact, I should. A lot of people want to go into partnerships without understanding that they should have a partnership agreement. The lack of a partnership agreement by default says that everybody is a 50% owner. I don't know if you guys know that. In the state of Michigan, you allow people to assume the role or to act in the role of a partner. And if you can't prove that you've paid them, by default, they automatically have equity in your business. No. There are different forms of corporation other than LLCs and partnerships and blah, 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 blah. I want to show you this one. So I'm a domestically held corporation in the state of Michigan. But look at this. If I choose to do business in Indiana and Maryland and Ohio and Atlanta, Georgia, then I become what? You see this?
Amen.
I become a foreign business, doing business outside of the state that I was legally incorporated. Now, I become an alien business if I choose to operate in a different nation that's not governed by the United States of America. So Toyota is an alien business. So Mitsubishi is an alien business operating in the United States. They operate because we allow them to. When you operate outside of the state of Michigan, you are a foreign entity doing business. Before you actually decide on your business legal structure, there are a lot of things people need to take into consideration. There was a time where everybody ran to get LLCs. Then it became a time where everybody started running after corporations. Now you're starting to see more people running after subchapters. Let me explain to you when and how you want to take those into consideration. You want to look at your personal financial situation and what tax shelters you need in order to protect yourself. Also want to pay attention to your management skill sets and limitations. And you want to try to minimize your legal liability. So a lot of people don't recognize that if in the state of Michigan, if you make over $385,000, if you gross more than $385,000 in the state of Michigan, you do not want to be a limited liability company because you lose the tax protections under a limited liability because you exceed the $250,000 self-employment income that they use as a barometer. And those are things that I don't anticipate you ever needing to know. That's what you would have an accountant for. An accountant would be able to look at your operation, your books, and your finances and say to you, if you're a limited liability right now, at some point in time, we may need to change your legal structure to provide you better tax shelter. You guys catch that? Hello?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Very good, very good. All right, so management and operations. We're going to do a real quick little mock session. I've got 3 of them, I think, set up, and I'm going to spend about 10 minutes with each of you, or 3 of you that I set up. I'm going to do a mock session around staffing, qualifications, customer engagement process, inventory controls, hours of operation. Okay, so who owns Goddess Botanicals?
Yeah, okay.
Who's the owner of Goddess Botanicals?
Me and that.
Miss Annette and Miss Evelyn, y'all own Goddess Botanicals?
Yes.
All right, everybody else, mute your line and get ready. We're about to do a mock interview. We're about to do a mock situation. Let's see how they handle it. All right, ring, ring.
Hello.
Hello, ma'am. Is this Goddess Botanicals?
Yes. How may I help you?
Listen.
Hello.
Somebody told me that I could probably lose weight using Goddess Botanicals because I heard that you got an RN on staff who helps me with my dietary concerns. I just want to know, ma'am, if I buy your product, will I legitimately lose weight? Can you give me my money back guarantee on that?
I can't unmute. Can you hear me? I can hear you a little bit.
I got a net on here twice and it's giving me some reverb. So I don't know.
Yeah, you still on connected to the phone net. No, it's on. Well, what we offer, our product is managed weight management.
So what you saying? Yes or no? Can I lose weight or no?
It's weight management. I stand by because I use the product for myself.
Well, what about the rest of your customers? If I'm going to shell this money out every month, I could be going to GNC. I want to know, am I going to lose weight? I want to get on this cruise and I want to look good, and I want to know if I'm going to be in a situation where I drop some weight. What you got? What you got?
I can't unmute. Can you hear me? Oh, you cut. Ned, you got cut. You still connected to the phone? Yeah. Well, it works for me. It cuts your appetite.
So you guarantee, Miss Lady, are you guaranteeing me that I'm gonna lose some weight?
Yes. Yes. And we do have the money.
Yes, you are. We stand by the product. I use it every day.
And you got a
And
money
I
back
don't gain
guarantee?
weight, I lose weight.
So
Yes,
I want to
you
know what
get
the
your money back.
stipulations are. Does that mean I got to change my diet? What I got to do?
The stipulations are written down. You have to take the product daily, and there is some diet modifications that go with that.
What I got? Okay, so I got to give up my hamburgers. I got to give up pork. What I got to do? What I got to do?
Well, I don't know why I can't. It's so weird. Yeah. Well, we ask that you, the modifications that we ask is that you include your daily water, which is at least, I believe we have 32 ounces.
Okay, wait. Something's real bad going on. I can't tell what.
I know. Let me see.
Look at that pretty baby.
Maybe I can come out. No. Okay, go ahead.
All right. Is that? So Miss Evelyn and Miss Annette, so what's this regimen? How much is it gonna cost? How long do I need to be on it? Because I'm really looking for my money back guarantee. If you're gonna give me weight loss, I want you to guarantee that it's gonna be weight loss. I don't want to have no nonsense going on here.
Well, we guarantee it if you follow the guidelines.
In the time frame.
How much weight am I gonna lose that you guarantee?
How much weight we're gonna lose. We can't guarantee you exactly how much weight you're going to lose. No one could guarantee.
All right, Annette, I can't, something's going on.
Yeah, we can't, I ain't gonna guarantee how much weight you're gonna lose. Because nobody should do that, because a lot of places do that. A lot of businesses.
But, well, am I gonna get my money back after 30 days? Miss Evelyn?
If you're not satisfied with our product.
I can have my money back?
Yes, if you're not satisfied with our product.
Absolutely.
100% of it back?
Yes, if you're not satisfied with our product, you can have 100% back.
All right, stop right there. So let's do a little triage.
Okay,
I was waiting for you to tell me I can have my money back. Evelyn, the answer is no, you can't have your money back.
Okay.
Annette, the answer is no, you cannot have your money back. Let me explain to you why. You can't see what I'm doing or if I'm even taking the supplements. How do you know?
Right. We just said if you follow the guidelines, you're going to lose weight.
No, I might be like, I went to the all-you-can-eat buffet, girl, what? How am I going to lose my weight?
Right.
You have to be able to sell your product without giving a guarantee. You have to make me take on the responsibility of doing what's necessary.
Okay.
So how do you reapproach that? Redirect me. So ma'am, you know what? If you're not satisfied with the product, we would love to counsel you and figure out what it is that you're doing wrong. But most people who take our product have really witnessed some fantastic results. Everybody is different. I would love to say that you will immediately lose all the weight, but quite a bit of it is also modifying your dietary consumption. You may need to do a few other things, including adding exercise, but we don't totally practice dietary restrictions. We practice health and wellness. You understand that?
Yeah, that was great. Yeah, I understand that.
You and Annette need to figure out how to change the script so that I still feel like I've gotten a value out of the conversation without you promising me.
You're right.
Right.
Then I'm guaranteed weight loss.
Right.
Because weight loss is not the only component to that. So you absolutely
It's health and wellness, right? You're telling me that you're right. You should be able to, you could tell them, I can tell you some things that you can manage right away. If you take the supplement, you can look at your blood pressure. You can take a look at this and this and this and that. You know, you have to be in a position where you can give me the things that are your bona fides. You never want to offer guaranteed weight loss when you are not controlling my intake.
Right.
You don't know the position. So be mindful and be careful of things that look like you can overpromise and underdeliver. Never put yourself in that situation.
Right.
All right, let's see who the next one is. Oh, Purely Bell. The next one is Miss Purely Bell. Ring, ring.
Hi. How are you?
Hello. I heard that you help youth, with all these little special projects, and I'm so excited about what it is that you do. Can you tell me a little bit about what it is that you actually do with the babies?
Yeah, so our mission is to, get children to love who they are naturally. Natural skin, natural hair, both boys and girls. We're trying to get them to love what they have. And so we teach them how to make products on their own, things that they can use in their homes to make these products in order to care for their hair and their skin.
Okay, so they're making their own products, but how do you make sure that they don't have any food allergies? I mean, I'm just so concerned with all the stuff that's going on today, and these babies so sensitive to everything. You know what I mean, girl? So
Yeah.
how do I know if I send these babies to you that they'll be okay? And I don't want that mama giving me no trouble.
Yeah, so we will have
allergies and things.
Yes, ma'am. Totally understandable. So we do have permission slips that we'll have.
Okay.
We will ask the parents to fill out the portion where it asks about allergies. And we'll also need emergency contacts just in case they don't have an allergy. They don't think they have an allergy, but come to find out that they do.
Okay. So it's we can't just walk into your space and have a workshop?
No, ma'am.
Oh, okay. Well, what if I'm thinking, what do you charge to do the workshop?
So the workshop, it'll run throughout the school year.
Okay.
For the most part, I'm thinking, well, not thinking, but so it'll cost about $50 per kid.
Oh.
That's for the entire year.
Oh.
And it's two days a week.
So is there like a sibling package where we can get a discount if I bring my other 3 babies with this one?
No, ma'am, we do not have a sibling package. But maybe we could think about doing that next year.
Oh, okay. $50 though for the year?
$50 for the year.
And who pays for the inventory, the supplies and things?
So the money that we get, that will be used to pay for the supplies. And we will also look for outside private investors to help us with that as well.
All right, so done. Excellent on customer service. Excellent on me pressing you for free stuff.
Because you know me, I'm quick.
But you gave it away at the end anyway, Karen. You are not gonna do workshops for $50 for the whole year, right? And give me all the supplies too, girl. What? When did you make some money, Karen? When did you make some money, Karen?
That's my biggest flaw.
That's a no. The $50 is for you to attend and get this intellectual property out of my head, and for me to teach you different manipulations or shea butter or hair creams and all. You're gonna buy the inventory. They're gonna buy that inventory and come to your class, and you're gonna teach them. You are not giving them that product for $50 for the whole year.
So, but if I charge more, I could do that.
If you charge more, but $50 is just for them to participate, and you'll give them a list of things they need to buy, or they can buy it from you. But you are not giving it to them for $50. You were getting it good too, Carrie. You were like, yes, no, ma'am, yes, but I'm gonna give it away.
It was like, too much, because.
Nope, you were perfect. You were sympathetic, and you didn't make me feel like I was a nuisance and I was trying to be. You kept it really calm and docile. Even Evelyn did. Evelyn was like, yeah, sure, I guarantee you, but I'm gonna change my number next week. All right, let's see who's next. Oh, Carolyn's Kitchen.
Okay.
Ring, ring.
Hi, this is Yolanda from Carolyn's Kitchen. How can I help you?
Yolanda, I heard from a lady at church that, girl, you got this slamming lunch with this special lemonade. And I was thinking, that since we finna open back up, I'd like for you to cater my board meeting. We're gonna have about 30 people there. I don't know their dietary restrictions, but can you send me your menu? And I'd like to know if you can make the food and give us a sample before I want to make sure everybody like it, because it's so important. You understand what I mean? I want to know if you can give us some samples before we purchase this, before our board meeting.
Okay, thank you for all that information. So I want to kind of back up a little bit.
Okay.
You're asking about tastings. That can be part of what we do later on. So once I can get a little bit more information about what you're looking for, we can talk about that a little later on, because actually, if you decide to go with us, tastings is part of the proposal. So you can decide that a little later on. But let's go back. You were saying about—
okay. So we can definitely taste it, huh?
It is a possibility. There is tastings for an additional fee.
Oh, because I have to imagine that several people might want to taste it, because we don't all like the same things. You know what I mean?
Right. So when you get your final contract, it actually states that up to 3 people can taste for $50, and you can try 3 of the items on the menu.
For 11 people?
For 3 people, ma'am.
Well, I only want a lunch catering for 11 people. Do you still let us, all 3 of us, taste?
It's still 3. Hopefully the 3 of you all can decide together for the entire group. Because if you're doing for 11 people, that's a full catering job, and doesn't sound like something you're looking for, to pay for a catering job twice. That's the mindset behind the mindset behind the tasting. But if you want, let's go back a little bit. I heard that you said that you have 30 people that you're interested in looking at. And you also said you're not sure of what the dietary restrictions are. That might be something you want to find out before we even talk about a menu, because if we plan a menu out and we find out that of the 30 people, 29 are vegans, if we've planned a chicken meal, that might not be what you're looking for.
So you will give me custom service. You don't even have a catering menu already ready. We can look at what you got.
I do have a catering menu, but
okay.
Yeah, if I give you a catering menu, and one of the things, and I'm just going by what you said, and what you said was that you didn't know the dietary restrictions.
I don't.
Yeah, and I've been to, for instance, I had a bridal shower, and the person did the same thing, and we had some seafood, and there were several people that did not eat seafood, and that person ended up paying for all of that seafood, and a lot of the folks couldn't even eat it. And I would hate for that to happen to you. So maybe before we even can talk catering, I want to be fair to you. We should probably look at what your guests are thinking about having to eat and what they can't eat.
So let's stop right there. You want to have all your dietary items already pre-laid out, and you make them make the decision.
Say that again. What do you mean? That is on the menu, but
right.
You said
you give them that menu, and then they can ask you from there, right? Because you don't want to give them 30 different people, because it goes beyond dietary restrictions to something way outside of your control. Well, can we get this? So I want to modify this. You want to stick with that? Let's go back to script.
Okay.
How much is it going to cost for 30 people?
So I can send you the menu, and all the prices are listed on the menu. So if it's an appetizer, that might be per person. But when we're talking about a lunch, it's usually a lunch deal. So say, for instance, you would have your 2 main proteins, you would have your side dish, and possibly your salad. So the good thing about the menu is that you can go look at all the prices when I send that to you, and then you can decide.
Very good. So is it going to cost me more than $300? I was thinking $10 a person.
And that's the good thing about me sending you the menu, because you know your budget. Once you look at the menu, all the prices are listed there, so you can see the items that are $5 a person versus a $10 item per person, and then you can make those decisions. And once you do decide, and you send that back to me, and you've made your decisions, and then we can go from there.
Sugar, you've been so sweet. I'm wondering if I could go somewhere and find out some things about you. I know this one girl, but I don't really like what she like. I'm thinking I want to go to your website or some Yelp.
Sure.
Where can I go and check out what people say about you?
Sure. There's actually a couple places you can go. You can go to my Facebook page. There's reviews there. But if you also go to carolyntope.com, you'll be able to find gallery where not only will you see some reviews from some customers, but you'll also be able to see the food. Because
How long you been doing this? How long you been doing this, child?
I've been cooking for about 30 years now, catering for about 8 years.
Well, praise God. I think you're doing a fine job. Yes, you is.
Thank you so much. I look forward to hearing from you. If there's anything you need help with, be sure to reach out to me.
You are so good, Yolanda. I tried to get you. You wouldn't let me get you. You did a good job. You did a
I heard
great
you
job.
with the other two. I listened.
Woo! Sabrina was cracking up. She was cracking up. What happened to Michael? We lost Michael. Anyway, when we do mocks, I love to catch you off guard because you don't think through those immediate questions that somebody's gonna call you out the clear blue and ask you the dumbest, craziest, off the wall stuff, and you got to be like, I have to have a process in place. See, you have to have a process in place. It doesn't diminish your kindness. It doesn't diminish your empathy or your desire to work and listen and have great customer service, but you want to stick to process, right? So I said 30, and then Yolanda said, well, wait, let's back up. I thought you said 30. 3 people can taste. And then I was like 11. She's like, did you say 30? Right? Because she is probably not going to deal with me and we have to schedule 3 different tastings for 3 different people for 11 lunches. You understand? Because it's just not worth it. It's too time consuming unless she saw value beyond the one time. You know, if she recognized that I have a board meeting that meets every month and she might be our caterer and we really like what they do, then she can imagine that there's some continuity in that offering. But to deal with me one time because somebody else and she wants to know if I can get it cheaper, and then she wants to know if 3 people can taste it, and then she got these dietary restrictions, that would make my head spin. I would just hang up, click. I lost that business. Done. Not me. Not me. You know what I mean, Renetta?
Yes, I get it.
Yolanda said people ask that and some. So she's practiced and very, very well poised to actually be able to manipulate and work in this capacity. And I think that's very important. When you think through your process, you want to have a process. You got to think about, what is your money back guarantee? What will trigger me giving you money back? That's something you want to safeguard against. What is considered epic failure on my end? Not delivering on time, right? Does that mean I owe you a discount, or next time I have to give you a percentage off of your meal, or off of the next job you offer, or the next product that you offer? Renetta is trying to be a millionaire, billionaire. I expect when she takes her product to market, girl, one jar was thin and the other one was thick. What's going on with that? We need consistency on your products, right? There are too many things that you really need to think through. So I'm going to take really quickly a hot minute, and we're going to start looking at a couple things that I think you should probably be ready for. Okay, scroll with me. Come on, page. Oh, wow, now it's freezing. Give me a minute, guys. This screen is freezing. All right. Come along. Bless you. Bless you.
Thank you. Oh, I apologize. Let me.
In your book, you have something very similar to this, and I wanted to show it to you. You don't have it directly like this, but it's close to this. If I were to ask any of you, what time does your business start? What time of day does your actual physical business start? Do you guys have a start time for business? Anybody?
I know I don't, because I'm going to be primarily an online reach. So
I didn't say hours of operation. I want to know, when do you start working on your business? What time of day do you start working on your business?
Oh, 24. Well, okay. I don't know, when I get up.
It's a trick question. I want to know how many of you have looked at a 24-hour day and have legitimately decided how many hours in the day you will spend working on your business. How many of you have a certain amount of hours that you are willing to devote? Come on, you got to.
Yeah.
If you know you get up every day at 9 o'clock, or back it up at 7 o'clock to be at a job at 9 o'clock, you work that job until 4:30, 5 o'clock. You get off that job at 5 o'clock, you get home at 5:30, you feed the babies, you do whatever else you got to do, you talk to the husband, it's 7 o'clock at night. So you got up at 7 o'clock in the morning, it's now 7 o'clock at night. You got exactly 12 more hours before you start the cycle all over again. When do you devote some hours to your business?
Right.
How many hours in the day? Because to me, it's like,
for
how
me,
important is it to you?
Right.
Well, I do 5 weeks.
Okay, what'd you say, Sabrina?
I said absolutely. I know I said I would do, by me being off this time, my goal is to do 5 hours daily. If I could do more, that's great. But sometimes I find myself not being as productive. Then I'm like, no.
You can get easily distracted. I can promise you. Renetta, you go to somebody's job, don't you?
Yeah. Who? Yeah.
So I mean, it's pretty.
Okay.
What'd you say?
Currently, I am working from home, but the convenience for me working at home is that my shift starts at 9 and I work till 5:30. During my shift time, I literally am working on my business as far as looking for products. I may be making jewelry. I may even put a package together, things like this. I might run over my inventory. I can do that.
Excellent. That's super great.
Also, when I wake up in the middle of the night, I pick my iPad sleeps with me. And I'll roll over. And if I'm not going back to sleep, I'm on here looking. I was trying to figure out this thing with the mantra and the
the manta. Yeah. Right. The research.
So I use that time, that idle time. I don't have a structured time frame to work because my business ideas are continuous. So
you should manage, maybe not the number of hours, but the amount of time you want to dedicate over a period of time. If it's for 5 days, if it's for 6 weeks, if it's however many, with an outcome. If you don't task yourself with an expectation of what happens in that period of time, you can still be doing stuff, but is it productive? What was the win? What is the win? You need to be able to measure the win. That all matters.
Okay, got it.
I want to show you. So I like to, for people who are not disciplined, I like to put them on a timeline. I don't think anybody's going to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and start doing Facebook posts, because you don't have to. You can use one of those social media manager tools, but you got to have some outward communication. You got to do something. If doing it by hour doesn't work for you, if doing it by hour doesn't work, you got to do something like this, like by day. On Monday, I'm gonna get this accomplished. On Tuesday, I'm gonna get this accomplished.
Okay.
Wednesday, I'm gonna get this accomplished. You have to actually create expectations for the business.
Right.
I also want to know, when you look at this piece, who's responsible for marketing management? How did I identify the best customers? What products am I going to sell? Have I looked at my pricing, Karen? I need to define or redefine my pricing. What promotional strategies will I implement? You know, overall operations. Do I have enough supplies? Have I done some shopping to see if there's some new supply opportunities? Do I need some employees or subcontractors? How much money do I need? How many phone calls am I going to make? Do I need facilities? There are too many things that you should be planning and doing already. In this session of management operations, you should be writing out all your operational deliverables, from inventory control to buying your supplies, to doing your marketing management, to checking out your subcontractor and staffing, to following up with your past customers. Any person who's purchased anything from you in the past should be a person that you can easily convert to buy again. You have a list of things that you need to do continuously. I don't care if you don't pick up a new customer, you can manage all the old ones. Even if they were one-time clicks, it doesn't matter. There's work that you should be doing consistently, and you should now manage yourself. Manage yourself and see if you manage to the expectation. Did I do what I said I would do? I want to have at least 24 customer engagements in the month. I want to have at least X number of products ready and available for sale. I want to do X number of YouTube workshops. I want to do this many, blah, blah. You need to set the timeline, be the CEO and manage you.
Okay.
Be the CEO and manage you. Write out all of the things that you would pay somebody else to do, or that you may pay somebody to do, and manage to expectation. Because you have to set the process in order for you to pass it on to somebody else. Yolanda will get to the point in her life where her catering company, she should be able to just be the one managing the contracts. The logistics of the food moving from location to location, or inventory being picked up and managed, should all be done as her staff grows. Those are not things that you consistently need to do yourself. Same thing for Miss Renetta. She's currently manipulating all of the little making of everything, but eventually you're going to get to a point where you need to step back and manage and lead this process. You don't need to be the person doing everything, or else you will never grow beyond what you can do in a limited amount of time in a day. Does that make sense?
Okay. Oh, perfect.
I even tell people, if you have gainful employment, any money that you could have returned into the business, pay it out in labor.
Can I speak? That's a really good one, because I was really going back and forth, because I don't know, like most of you all, I was still working a full-time job. And I was to the point where I was going to let go of my full-time job, but that's kind of foolish. You're just not there yet. So what I did was I put aside some money for a virtual assistant, and that opened up the world to me big time, because I couldn't do it all, and I couldn't be there. And she actually is helping me grow my business.
That's what I'm talking about. See,
it's not that much money at all to be able to do it, but she's actually like my hands when I can't be there. So don't quit the job, but still.
So for Evelyn and Annette, they should actually figure out how much money will we be willing to pay a month for somebody to handle all of our outward marketing.
Right.
How much money will we put together right now for somebody to be responsible for looking at our store spots on Etsy and Amazon and Walmart and our own personal website? Karen might be like, what will I pay somebody to start calling these the public schools and parent associations? You know, here's a kit. We're saying for $50, your kid can do a summer program at Belle Isle where we're going to teach them how to do these things. Instead of you expecting the money to come back to you, pay it out in labor, especially if you have a W-2. If you have a job already that you're committed to, start practicing managing people. Start managing and practicing managing other people, doing the work. It'll be a little bit harder for you, Kanika, because I mean, you can't outsource a grocery store. You can't outsource the part that you're playing, but we can find a way.
Okay.
And Yolanda said she's got somebody who you can outsource some of your stuff to. So you should think of and come up with a budget. And let me tell you something. In 2008, when I first started my business, in 2009, I hired my first person. And I hired her because she was also working part-time for one of my clients. I can only hire her for like 5 hours a week. She picked up 10 and 20 clients, and she was doing X number of hours of work for each of us to build up her capacity. You'd be surprised how you can manage to that regard. That person becomes very vested and loyal to you because they know every week that they got a little something coming from the work that they produce. And it's nothing like a small entrepreneur like us. You be on their head like this, like, wait a minute, my phone hasn't rung. I haven't seen you post nothing on that. You know, you can really manage the expectation. Now you've got somebody you can hold accountable.
Right.
For small amounts of money.
And my social media, which was trash because I hate doing that, we've done a campaign together, and we started out this month at the beginning of the month with 143 followers. We're almost up to 1,000, which is what you need to be able to have free content on Facebook. So that little investment I'm making is paying off for me really big.
See, and that is so important. Like we talked about that web-based management class or marketing class, you need to create all those infrastructure. You can do the work. You've laid out all the process. Now manage somebody else doing it. And if you're not going to manage somebody else, those forms that I just showed you, you're now responsible for saying, from this hour to this hour, I'm going to do this. From this hour to this hour, I'm going to do this. Based on what free time you have and what flexibility you have in your day, only you know that. I don't know that. You should hold yourself accountable and manage to expectation. See, you are the visionary. It is your job to lose sleep, dreaming and creating strategy. It doesn't necessarily need to be your job executing it. You need to be in a position where you're creating opportunities. It is okay to, at some point, dole it out to someone else to do, and you manage the expectation. The question is, all right, so I paid you $300 in this month. I need to look at what I got for my $300, because it ain't nothing like paying out money and not feeling like you got a return on investment. You be all over that, like, what? What did you do? How many of you understand what I'm talking about? Come on now. But you don't do that to yourself. You give yourself a pass or an excuse. Oh, the grandbabies came over. George Floyd got shot or beat up in the news, and I just got all caught up in everything that was going on. And that's real talk. The world did not stop because whatever. It will not stop. But at what cost will you jeopardize your own business because you're trying to do stuff that you know you're not going to hold yourself accountable doing? In management and operations, you must comply. You must not only set the standard for process, you must also set the standard for execution. Either you do it or someone else does it. Bottom line. And I tell every business that's starting out, you should at least touch it and design the process. And then from there, you can assign other people to do it. At this point, we're in week 6. We only have 6 weeks, 5 sessions, 6 weeks, but 5 sessions before you're done. If you don't know if you have a valid or viable product, we need to have a conversation. If you don't know who your customers are at this point, we need to have a one-on-one. If you don't know your NAICS codes, we got a problem. If you don't know how and who your customers are, in short-term, long-term, all that good stuff, we got an issue. At some point, you have to be able to say, I have this portion of my business plan completed. And management and operations seals the deal. You've already looked at general market studies. You've already discussed products and services. You've already looked at coming up with your marketing strategy. We just got finished talking about management and process. What else is there for your business plan but finances? Now let's have
Laura,
yes,
Laura,
yes.
since the stay-at-home order has been lifted, are we going to be able to meet together for our final?
I have been working on that. My husband said that to me today. He said, so are you guys going to Belle Isle? I said, I can't wait. I'm taking this class to Belle Isle. We're going to sit at Belle Isle 6 feet away. We're going to do a class. I actually have no idea. I need to work on it. They anticipated that we completed online, but I would love an opportunity for us to all get together. But I also think that since the stay is lifted, it's time for you to do more pitch and captures. You can do more surveys in the marketplace. You can go out into public spots, even social distancing, and asking people. I would love to create, especially for you, Harris, because you're the one that I'm thinking about the most. I want to create an actual online questionnaire for you, like through a QR code, where you can post it in a grocery store, post it in a beauty and barber supply, post it at a church, post it at the post office, and have people scan it and take a 5 or 6 minute questionnaire in a certain geography where you're interested in opening up that grocery store, and to find out if people would be willing and interested in patronizing, because that's going to matter. If you do a full-fledged grocery store, if you do something a little bit different, we'll work through that strategy too.
Okay.
We should all have strategy at this point, because what's the point of sitting in a 2-hour Monday night class? It's beautiful outside if at the end of it you don't have a takeaway. That'll rub me the wrong way, Miss Evelyn. It'll just rub me the wrong way. I want you to know that you don't offer money back guarantee. What you offer is health and wellness.
Amen.
It is health and wellness for the individual, and we will help
Right,
you.
right.
We will help you achieve your goals. If you two are committed, you're supposed to dump it back on
Right.
me.
Right.
Karen can teach all the babies everything they want to be taught. Even if it is $50 a year, you still got to buy all the supplies from me. Here's the supply toolkit. Right? Yolanda did a real good job. Yolanda did a good job with that. All right, so it's time for us to conclude one more week. Session 6 is down. If you look at your graduate program support documents, you're responsible this week for doing your operation worksheets, and they are also asking that you go and open up a business bank account. You can't do a business bank account until you register your business name. So make sure.
The banks are open too. That was my problem.
What'd you say?
The banks weren't open for you to come in.
You can certainly do it now. You can certainly do it now.
Yeah.
And when you go, guys, as a startup business, never go to large corporation banks. Never go to Bank of America or Chase. Go to smaller community banks where you can get to know these people personally, and they will advocate on your behalf. Because remember, banks look at their portfolios. They look at what suite of services. They look at the number of people that they're interested in. Even Fifth Third and PNC Bank might be too large for some of you as a startup. Why? Because they want $12 and $15 a month just for the privilege of giving your money to them to hold on to. You have to look at like Detroit Federal Credit Union, or you have to look at Citizens Bank. Citizens Bank doesn't charge any fees for a small business account. And I think they let you have up to like 250 transactions a month without fees. So you have to be real smart about how and who you bank with. But we can do that. I'm anticipating that next week we will probably not jump directly into finances. I'll probably start the pitch review again to see how far you've come, because I want to plan your pitch session where you pitch to bankers. Yes, ma'am. Any questions? All right. Ms. Harris, you and I, we need to have a conversation later on.
So do we.
All right, Ms. Sabrina. All right, all right.
Sounds good, yes.
All right.
All right.
All right, ladies. Till next week then.
Yep.
Bye.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Ooh.